Welcome to the Wellness Amazon podcast. This is a podcast for highly sensitive people, people that have high intuition and are just in tune with themselves and the outer world. Come and listen to multiple different high spectrum subjects and just peek behind the curtain. But I warn you, once you peek behind the curtain, you can never go back. Have fun. Enjoy. Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of the Wellness Amazon podcast, Season 2. And today, a very special guest. I am super excited about this episode because I'm going to learn so much today, is Medina. And she is from Transform Projects. That's her business. And I'm going to read this off because it's a lot and it's absolutely magnificent. So she is a transformational guide and faith-based human design coach. And she helps highly sensitive empaths redesign their bodies, their habits, and their life with soul. She guides all people through a journey of self-discovery, helping them shed not just weight, but also the self-doubt, the guilt, and the limiting beliefs that have held them back. Her approach is intuitive, holistic, and deeply personal, guiding her clients through their transformation in a process of self-love, resilience, and empowerment. How beautiful is that? And I'm going to link your business website into the show notes so people can actually find you. Welcome, Medina. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. Yeah, it's all kind of like the podcast is new to me, kind of too. I never been on one, so you're the first one who invited me. So yeah, I'm super excited, and I hope whatever we talk about today, yeah, will just bring a lot of value out for your audience, as well as just bring them joy and yeah, something to maybe dive into when it feels right, or if not, but exploring things is always a great thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad we're talking about this because human design, in my opinion, is one of those things that, or at least for me, I was not able to read myself really into this without an expert who that's you. It's kind of the same like with astrology. If you are not an astrologer and you're trying to read a natal chart by yourself, sometimes it can get very
Yes.
confusing and overwhelming. Tell us a little bit, what is human design?
Okay, so human design is kind of like a synthesis of different spiritual things, but also science-based. So it actually is a building block out of Eastern and Western astrology, the Hindu chakra system, the Judaic Kabbalah, and the Chinese I Ching, as well as quantum physics. So, but in its own, it's a system, even though it's part of so many things. And it's kind of, for me personally, it's also something where you can a little bit go deeper because it reveals to you how you were actually beautiful created and how you were beautiful designed in your spirit, soul, and in your body. And for me, doing the faith-based human design readings, which is kind of a new thing for me too, because I just started with it. I came with the kind of original base human design, but I was like, hey, let me experiment a little bit with that actually, and how we can bring these two worlds together. And yeah, and it's about like really like how you were created through God as well. And you see a lot of things when we talk about God, talk about faith, like how God sees us, that you can go into human design and find these things as well and learn from it basically. And however, the human design was created in 1987, and it's actually Alan Krakauer who had the vision or the transmission coming into him during the supernova in Ibiza. This experience changed him when he basically kind of created human design, and he changed his name afterwards in Ra Uru Hu. So if you hear human design and you hear Ra, this is basically the creator of human design. And a lot of people say it's a kind of a personality assessment tool, but it's really very practical. Sometimes you probably have done one in your lifetime, personality assessments, and they have a lot of questions. You go through a lot of things, and sometimes it gets a little bit, I don't know, tricky maybe in between, and you're like, okay, but I feel like this, but I also feel like this, and it's never really kind of like a full answer to the picture. But human design is kind of easy, but it's also reliable and it can be life changing. But it's always with the back in your mind, with the thought in your mind that it's here for you to actually learn how to live your authentic self and to really dive into this authenticity we all striving for.
Wow. I love that. When I saw that you were trying to create this, human design coaching, which you have been for a while,
Hmm.
and then bringing in that faith. I love that because for so many people, they don't go together. And, I'm always struggling because I have that information coming at me sometimes that they don't go together. But to me, inside my soul, I think they go together. So how was that ever a struggle for you or
Yes, definitely
yeah.
for sure. And it's great that you say this too, because honestly, it was in, I think around March when was meeting with a friend, and she's like a very true Christian and really like deep into God. And she was actually asking me, she like, how do you think this goes together? Because kind of this is like a lot of people would also say like woohoo stuff, like same with astrology and things like that,
Mhm.
so how can you, yeah, how do you feel about that? And I was like, honestly, we are created by God, right? And we all come here with a purpose. And I think God put things in our heart to bring to humanity. And I believe that God also put human design into Ra's heart, that it came to humanity and that we can learn from it. So it's something that is just kind of a tool where we can embrace more and experiment with it. It will not be for everyone, and that's okay. And but it can help you, I think, growing in your faith and get this deeper understanding. Especially, I think a lot of people struggling. I mean, I grew up in that mindset. Oh, Lord, God is always watching you, and you better not do something wrong because He's gonna be punish you right
Mhm.
away, right? So this is kind of how I grew up, but it's not about that because God, no matter what you do, loves you, right? And He will never punish you for any mistake you are doing. No, He will actually catch you and He will say, hey, listen, let's do it together, right? So that's a beautiful thing because human design is talking about your shadow sides, the things you're struggling with, but it also gives you a pathway how you can turn this around. So with human design, you can really learn how to rewire your thinking and rewire your thoughts. And I think that's a very important part, especially also when we grow in spiritual and in faith, to rewire our brains from having this mindset, oh, God is punishing me, I can't do anything wrong, to this really deep knowing, no, God loves me, I am enough. And what I'm doing, he loves me, and he just wants me to succeed. And that's something where I was thinking, no, this can't be wrong. So I think bringing it together can just be something for growth and bring value to people. And that was, like I said, I'm experimenting with it right now, but I think it's helpful to do it this way.
It's a beautiful perspective, and I love to hear. I mean, I come from the Catholic side, so it's even more
Hmm.
rigid and like, no,
Yeah.
no, we don't do that. It's bad. That's the devil.
Yes.
Well, so you have explained this beautifully. Now, when someone does this
Hmm.
human design and they start either with you or even if they do it
Hmm.
online, you punch in your information. And it's very similar to when you're trying to do a natal
Hmm.
chart. You need your birthday, your birth time, and where you were born. And then essentially it looks like you get this map, right? That's what that looks like.
Hmm.
And it looks very complicated and overwhelming. And there's all these things, just like with a natal chart, all the
Yes.
houses and the sun and the moon and all those planets, right? And you see so many lines, and it almost looks like geometry when you look at
Yes.
the human design chart. So walk us through that a little bit of what does this chart kind of mean?
Yes. So what you're pulling up is basically your body graph. And as you said, you can just go, for example, a super resource for your audience is geneticmatrix.com. You can go on there, put your email in there, and you can create a free chart for yourself. So it doesn't cost you anything. and you can basically find out, okay, what type you are, what is your lines, and how do you look like inside of you, right? And the body graph basically is your energy blueprint, what we call in human design. It's a map of, and probably since the chakras, we should talk about it's a part of it. It's the Hindu chakra system. So the centers, which are basically in the middle of the body graph, they can be colored in. Some are going to be white on your chart. They come actually from that original chakra system. And we have in human design 9 energy centers. In the chakra system, you have 7. So basically, what human design did, the heart, which was in the chakra system, is split it in 2 centers in human design. So that's the main difference. So we
Mhm.
basically have the head, which is the crown and chakra system. We have the ajna, the third eye in the chakra system. We have the throat, which is the throat in the chakra system. And then we have the G center and the will center, which would be the heart in the chakra system. And then we have the spleen and the solar plexus, which is the solar plexus in the chakra system, the sacral, and the root, which are the same names. And what we learn, these centers are basically kind of guiding us more a little bit in general, what we might struggle with or what are characteristics of us when we look more into these energy centers. What energies are we carrying in these centers? I can go a little bit deeper if you want. I mean, not too much, but like, for example, if we talk about head center, we talk about the energy of inspirations, thoughts, thinking.
Mhm.
How do we process that, right? But the ashna is then the understanding from the head and the processing. And then it connects to the throat where we basically speak it out. So here is about our voice. How do we bring energy out with our speaking and things like that? Then we have the G center, which is kind of our direction in life, where our love sits. So it's a very, very important center actually. I have learned it myself. I have, for example, an open G center, and when I had my first reading, it's now almost 4 years ago, I think I had my first human design reading, and I was just like, oh my God, that's amazing. I never like like I felt so seen and heard, and I'm like, oh my God, how do you know
Mhm.
that? You know, even like just by that, seeing this, like I always struggled my whole life with like self-worth and feeling I'm not good enough or I have to do more and things like that. And yeah, it wasn't clearly. Now I know I have an open G center, and yeah, I struggled with that. But because I'm the main energy I carried was I never felt good enough about myself with that open G center. And then also conditioning comes on top of it, how we grow up, society, school, things like that. So this all dims you in your energy, right? But it was great because now I learned, okay, it's nothing wrong with me, it's just how I was like designed, But now I have this powerful tool to just rewire thoughts and learn how to grow into this and understand. No, Mina, you don't have lack of self-worth. It's deep inside of you, this love. You just have to detect it back, kind of, And okay, and then to the other centers, the will, for example, is like our strength, our determination. Like it has a lot to do with like work and businesses and stuff like that. So we find a lot of energy in this will center. Then we have the spleen is very interesting because it's kind of a paradox. On one hand, you carry all your fears in the spleen, so you can find out a lot about fears. But the spleen is also where your spiritual instincts are, where your intuition sits. So it's really, really interesting when
Mhm.
you dive into these. And the same with the solar plexus, it's where all your emotions are sitting. And depending on your design, if you're more the emotional type, you can actually learn, or when you feel like people I had readings with and they are emotional type, they always tell me like, I don't know. I'm always like up and down and up and down, and I just don't know why. Why is it so crazy in my life? And I feel always so overwhelmed with everything. But teaching them then, okay, you have a defined solar plexus. For you, it's normal to go to emotional waves all month long. And you need to just learn how to ride the waves, and just understanding it's nothing wrong with you. It's just the way you are, And then,
Mhm.
for example, the sacral, it's like our life force center, also very important when it comes to how much energy we can push out in a day, for example, or in our daily lives. Do we need more rest actually? Do we overexert ourselves because maybe we don't have the sacral defined, but society tells us you have to push, you have to push, you have to do, 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 So, and then the root is also very beautiful because it's on one hand, it's our pressure center. So a lot of stress can come out of the root. But on the other hand side, it's like where we find stillness, divine timing, and divine listening and stuff like that. So, yeah, I know that was a long, very much many information right now.
No, that was great. It's great that there is that parallel to the chakras, because at least if you know one of each, that kind of gives you a little bit of a glimpse of an anchor to understand that concept and the whole in it. So I know that you have asked me about my information
Hmm.
to pull up my chart, right?
Hmm.
So if you don't have to, do it in as I was a paying client,
No,
so
no.
don't worry about it. But if you would go through the chart and how you would do it, right? How would you, and me being the guinea pig,
Yeah.
totally fine, by the way. I have nothing to hide. um, how would you go to explain that map, so to speak?
So again, on the chart itself, there is a lot of information. And important is that
Oh,
when you first time come, you don't want to dive too deep into it because it also can like be scary, like for the person you're talking. It's too much information. As you can see, you can go on and on and on and talk and talk and talk about this topic, but it's getting too much. So what I found out that when I start with human design readings, I kind of stick with the basics first. So just to get an idea, okay, what type are you and what is your lines, which is basically the main life themes, and maybe diving into one or two gates. I can come to this later, what that is, that piqued my interest, where I would say, oh yeah, that's something that like intuitional, I usually do that. Like when I see something and I think, oh yeah, that feels right for me to talk about with her about that, then I dive into that. I give you an overview of the centers as well. So this is already then, I mean, just to let you know, I have your reading almost done. And as of right now, I'm at 50 pages, and that's just the basic. So a
wow.
reading with me usually takes 90 minutes just to cover everything. But this is then just really like we stay not to get too much, but having also this kind of nice interaction with each other. So as I told you before, I mean, I already like limped a little bit through you. I told you that you're a manifester, 6-2. So I pulled your birth chart, and you're actually a splenic manifestor, 6-2. And like I said, you have your chart then, and then I would go and start with actually explaining to you, for example, what's the manifestor. So you're actually the manifestor is about 8% of the population. So there are not a lot manifestors out there actually. And you're really like an initiator. God gave you that so that you initiate things in this world for all of us. You really like carrying the spark to begin something new here with us. That can be projects, movements, whatever feels right for you right now. That you think, okay, the world needs to know about that. That's kind of your gem. Okay. And the special thing on the manifester is you kind of, when you know it's right, you can just go ahead and start. As the other types, we kind of have to wait a little bit and feel things out and really make sure, is it really what we're supposed to do right now? So that's kind of the advantage of the manifesto. The manifesto can just go out and, yeah, I'm doing it, right? It feels good to me. And important is just always, of course, and that's for all of us, right? That it always feels aligned to us, what we are doing, right? Because when it doesn't, human design also gives you a little a heads up what can then happen. So maybe you had that before in your life when you started things, you were excited about it and you just jumped into it without really big thinking, that when it feels out of alignment, anger can come up for a manifester a lot. And you feel like you're blocked in whatever you actually want to do, or you get this feeling of no, something feels off, right? But when you are in alignment with your project, you just feel peace, and you're really walking the path, and you feel like you're supported in that path. And yeah, so this is kind of like the main characters of the manifesto. For you, for example, you have an undefined sacral, which means, and you can tell me then afterwards if that actually sounds okay for you, if this sounds right for you, or if there's something where you say, that doesn't really aligns with me, because that's why we do this, right? But with the undefined sacral for you, you need true rest. So you actually have more these bursts of energy. So it's not that you continuously and all the time like running, 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 and you feel good about that. That's the difference. I am a sacral, so I feel good. The more I can do, I feel good. For me, it's more like, no, nothing to do is bad for me. But for you, you need a little bit more
Hmm.
rest. So you have these bursts, and then you truly don't just need this physical rest, but also soul rest, so that you can come to a place of stillness again and really like, yeah, find the stillness again in yourself and recharge yourself. Yeah. So, and this is something then we can learn from each other, because for you, it's important to see that not everyone is the same designed like you. So somebody else, maybe a family member of yours, is is continuously going and they feel good about it. And you might think like, I know I have to go continuously. This drives me nuts. Yeah. But it's okay because they are different, and that's what we learn from each other.
Yeah.
Another thing is also, especially when we are interacting with each other, we pick up a lot of energy from others, right? And that really can make decisions sometimes, or we making decisions out of an energy we took on from somebody else. So that's why it's also important to have that in mind. We take on energies, we learn from these energies. Some are ours, but some are also energies we have to give back. Then we just learn from each other. Yeah. And
Hmm.
then, I mean, does that sound a little bit like your type? Does it sound familiar what I shared?
Especially the energy spurts. Yeah, I joke around sometimes with my husband where I call it I get a wild hair up my behind, or I joke like, today is the moon in Virgo. I feel like I need to clean the house. And then I just have that sudden urge and the energy then and joy in it too to just clean or declutter or whatnot. But when I don't feel like that and I have to do it, I find I drag. Let's just say
Yeah. And another thing when it comes to
yeah.
the manifestor, what we learn about the types. So we have, I mean, I didn't mention this in the beginning. The types we have is the manifestor, generator, manifesting generators, projectors, and reflectors. We have 5 types in human design, basically. I'm a manifesting generator, just as a side note. Um, we all have fears. And I talked about that. The spleen, for example, is our center where we're carrying a lot of fears. In the spleen center, we can basically go in the nitty gritty of fears and really can tell what specific fear it is. But in general, we all also carrying kind of, let's say it in general fears. And you can tell me too if this is kind of what fits for you or not. But common fears, for example, for a manifester is the fear of upsetting others. Also, like manifestors like to be people pleaser a little bit. So you can be tempted to be a people pleaser and just making sure that everything is kind of okay. And then also that the fear of your own anger or being too much. That can be something what comes up for a lot of manifestors. So you might kind of feel ashamed of ideas or certain passions you have, like, oh, am I really like allowed to do that? Maybe somebody is better than me and things like that, right? And then also when it comes to human design, a big part of it, and we all struggle with that, is whenever we start something new and we want to inform people, like at least the people around. It's not asking permission. Like you're not going to your husband and say, hey, listen, I want to do the podcast. Is it okay with you? No, it's more like, hey, so I have this project now. This is what I'm going to do. I'm just letting you know. However, informing is always something what most people don't really like, and me included, because I don't want to be rejected and I don't want to have somebody criticize me or tell me something negative about my project. But however, so that's why we mostly then not do it, right? We fear the resistance, we fear the rejections, confrontations, whatsoever. However, this informing is a big part because we just kind of, how you say, like planting the field so everybody knows what's going on. Doing that, even if it's uncomfortable, brings most of the time more harmony in our relationships and in the people who are involved in what we are doing. So, yeah, so that's a part of that one.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the whole thing about guilt and shame and being a people pleaser, I mean, I've been working on that for since I can think.
Yeah.
Well, I guess since I'm aware
Hmm.
of what this is. And it's getting better, but I think things like this today are the key to really, just like what you're called, transform into that better version of yourself, because you can focus a little bit more on those things, because I mean, there's a million things we can better about ourselves all the time. We're always in motion. But when we know what the core things is that we have to dial into, it might be a little bit easier to focus and then make bigger steps towards feeling better for ourselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, totally, totally. That's also, especially like with the last part, the informing. So human design actually teaches you a strategy for that. It teaches you strategy and authority. So these are the main words we are using. Okay, if you like, we can continue.
Yeah, yeah, we're rolling.
Okay, okay.
Where were we?
Good question. Good question. We were talking about the strategy and authority. I was just starting about to talk about it. It's kind of like, so we have a strategy in our body, and that was given to you, like kind of to sense what is right in the moment, right, and to act on it. And the authority, which we have given in the design, gives us clarity and discernment in real time. But it's also like more spirit led. So it comes actually. So human design teaches you are kind of not making decisions from your head, but deep again, dive again into your body, get your body wisdom. And if we're going to go faith based, it would be basically the wisdom God gave you, right? The
Mm,
collaboration with God. And then you start this project and you go and know if the decision is right for you or not, basically. So for you, for example, as a manifester, how it would look like is like you receive kind of a nudge or a prompt or something, like an idea, and you're like, oh yeah, that feels good to me, and it really really aligns with what I'm doing right now. And then you are, as a manifester, you are just wired then for taking fast decisive actions. Once you really know, okay, God has put this on my heart, I'm gonna do that. And then you
hmm.
basically just let your family know, hey, listen, I'm going to inform you, this is what I'm going to do. And then you're going to go and do what you need to do.
Right. And it's funny because I do want to always inform people on what I'm doing. I'm never the, ooh, I'm gonna do something in secret and then I'm just gonna blurt it out when it's done. No, people need to know why I'm over here tinkering with things. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially with you, since you have that splenic authority, you're a splenic manifester. And if you remember, I said the spleen is our intuition center, right?
Hmm.
So for you, it's a lot of intuitive things you are doing, right? So you really have that whisper and maybe like, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I have a defined spleen too. So it's like this big intuition. Sometimes things before you even know,
Hmm.
and this is really your calling. So if you feel this, is really your sign. Yes, that's right for you. So you can
Hmm.
always really rely on your spleen, and so to speak.
Right. Right. And this is a beautiful thing about when you're speaking about all of these traits, because I really do believe that society is, we bury those things deeply sometimes because they don't always align with what you said, what society wants from us. If
Mhm.
you are someone who needs more rest and more downtime, well, that's not accepted in this culture that we're living in.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I mean, I have learned that over the last years too. And I mean, we know each other from a certain place.
Hmm.
I mean,
honestly, I'm super grateful for this place because it has taught me a lot. And it came in the moment, yeah, too. I had my human design reading shortly after I actually came to this place, and kind of kind of bonded together because I like you. I mean, I'm a completely people pleaser. I'm a highly sensitive person, a highly empath, and I struggled a lot in my careers. I always thought have to do more than others. I never took breaks. I always kind of overexerted myself and things like that. And also always felt guilty, like going home on time. No, you can't do that.
Mhm.
Like really like crazy, right? But that's why I will always be grateful for this place, because this has taught me something different, and that there is kind of a balance. You can find a balance, and it taught me to dive deeper and allowing myself really like to learn about my design and to apply it during this time. So that's why I truly love it. Loved human design because it's also, what is not helpful is if you get your reading, you have your chart, and you get all these information and you do nothing with it, right? So it's not about doing all of it, but at least if it gives you one little nugget, dive into it, use
Mhm.
it for yourself, and maybe it can change something. And yeah, so if you.
Yeah, yeah. And I have learned over well, maybe in the past year or two, that living in that, like what you just said, the manifestation, that, also like attracting things and the intuition that's there, living in that constant yang energy that, no, you got to hustle, you got to whatever, do like rigid, being in control, constantly trying to control things, suppresses that manifester. It suppresses the intuition. It really suppresses all of that emotions, all that yin energy, right?
Mhm,
And trying to revive this in the past, I don't know, 12, 13 months has been amazing,
mhm.
to really step into that. Well, you would probably say into the blueprint, almost, that who I am.
Yeah. And also, I mean, that's the thing too. We can bring it back to phase two, because God wants you to be peaceful, right? God wants
Mm-hmm.
you to be still and do the things you enjoy. I mean, it's not about that hustling and putting things in front of you that are basically, yeah, not giving you joy in the end, or bringing you to a point where you, I don't know, getting maybe sick, or you can't handle it anymore, and that's the beauty thing too. Like you can bring it all together basically, and that's my main thing too right now. I'm always asking, okay, God, what do you want me? Because quite frankly, the main thing for you is me having joy here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do this then. Let's do something where we all can have joy and bring it to this world. And in the end, and
Yeah.
yeah. um if you want, I can still give you a little bit insights on your profile line and on your overall energy you are carrying in this world, because this is the main thing actually also to know. I mean, all this before was nice, but now we get to the parts where are actually fun.
We get to the main course, appetizers are over. Absolutely, let's do it.
Okay, so your profile lines, as I said, it's a 6 and the 2. And again, the profile lines are kind of your major life themes, the way God has designed you to interact with this world, right? And to live
Mm-hmm.
out your kingdom calling. I like to say it like that. And the lines give you insight into your natural strengths, your growth edges, and the way you're meant to serve here in this world. And the 6 is actually the role model, and the number 2 is the hermit. And so, just to get you an overall picture of this energy, so hold on, I always need to leave a couple notes for myself as well. So it's a lot of things. I cannot have that in my mind, but just make it bigger. So basically, you're really like a living example for all of us when it comes to walking authentically in this
Mm-hmm.
world. Really like free from the pressure of outside authorities, really dive into your own self, into your soul, into your truth, and into this inner peace, and walking your unique way you have. So we can really learn a lot from you. And you also have this ability to see the bigger picture. not just like through the human eyes, but really like I always, let's say it like frankly, like the kingdom view, right? The kingdom lens. So really, like, okay, what is this all about here? And your life is usually is like three stages. How you grow up with your design as a line six. It's like you learning through experience in the first stage of your life. Then in the second stage is like you gaining this wisdom and doing deep, deep, deep reflections of what you have done and where you're going to go and things like that. And then the third stage is basically really living as a visible example in this world and telling your truth, you know. And people really see you as really wise. And sometimes it can feel kind of a little bit scary because sometimes it can also make you feel a little bit isolated from others because you know so much. But it's nothing to feel bad about it because it just, yeah, just take this beautiful gift you have, you know. And usually things come very naturally to you. As when you are into something, this comes naturally to you. Like I feel this podcast comes super natural to you. Like when I listen to a couple episodes, it's like Melina is like talking as if she does it like for I don't know 20 years already. I love it. You always have so beautiful questions, and you're always like super fun, and yeah. So and this is what we notice. You know, it's like truly like having this gift, and you're showing it us to us what is possible in this world when you just also be brave enough to stand out, you know, and to go this way. And then again, with your two, the hermit, you also crave alone time, and that's important for you too. Like to really like get the stillness, this peace back, get all this other energy out that doesn't belong to you. And interesting with the two line is too that most of the time when you get into this hermit space, like think about the bear, right, who goes to sleep in the winter time and comes back out in springtime and knows exactly what he does. And for you, these times are valuable too, like having this hermit time and you really like disconnect from the world. It's mostly the time when everybody finds you. Everybody suddenly comes to you, and invitations are coming, and opportunities are coming to you when you allow to step away from all of that. So, yeah. And then the last thing for this line or for this profile energy is kind of you're carrying kind of a Mother Teresa energy as well. Like you have a heart which is really like full of compassion, service, deep love for people, highly empathic, yeah, and just yeah, giving this beautiful energy to others basically.
Wow. I got to ask you because there's
Yeah.
so many parallels to other things. When you say the hermit, is this in any way, shape, or form correlated with tarot?
With what?
Tarot?
With
Tarot
tarot?
cards?
Oh, give me an example because I mean I know tarot a little bit, but I'm not sure. I mean, there's probably a.
Yeah, because when I was, so you can, was it the personality card? This is, oh my God, I think I was a teenager when we did this. This is a
Okay.
long time ago. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
But my aunt, who passed away, unfortunately, she was very
Hmm.
into all of this stuff, and she said, "Oh, let's calculate your personality card, and it's just your whole birthday with year and everything." And she said, "Oh, you're the hermit. That is your personality tarot card." And I always felt, yeah, because I like to retrieve, I like to be alone, I need a I'm very introverted. Even when I was younger, I was an extroverted introvert. And I always, after parties, needed to, okay, like 2 day to recover from that pretty
Yeah.
much. And then when you said Mother Teresa, acts of service is my love language.
Hmm.
So there's all these, I mean, somebody cannot shoot this stuff down because there's too many parallels to evidence of all of these things, for me at least. So that's incredible. Wow.
Yeah, that's so I mean I guess it's just a confirmation of what you already had learned on a different path and now it's
Hmm.
coming back to you. So I always love to like to say like when things like this happen, it's okay, what why is it coming now? So again, maybe the opportunity for us, okay, maybe stepping more into this, maybe really allowing you more into this being a hermit and see really and really like again, I think especially when it comes to faith, the hermit role is I, It's actually incredible, because how many of us do really like to let go and really would sit in the corner quietly, so to speak, and saying, okay, I just let go of control, right? Because it's kind of letting go of control, because I'm taking the time out for myself. I'm going to disconnect from everything else, but I know in this moment things will come to me. So it's like, okay, God, I'm letting you take over, and I know I have this deep faith and this deep knowing that you will provide. You will show up for me, and you will bring out these opportunities for me. So yeah, maybe it's just an invitation now that you heard it again. Maybe that's something for this rest of the year to, yeah, kind of elevate a little bit in this role more, and to see what things might happen.
Yeah. And that connects to me to what you were telling about the spleen, about the fears and the worries, because that's my biggest obstacle that I have when we talk about letting go and surrender. And actually, that's going to be the episode that airs before this, surrender, where that fear of A, there's not going to be enough, right? The fear of missing abundance. And two, the fear of I'm doing it wrong, right? I'm not serving my faith properly, or
Mhm.
what is the right thing to do, because there's so many different opinions about everything. And it's interesting, just to give you a little bit of a how profound the first fear for me is about abundance. Now, listeners have probably caught on by now, so we worked at the same place. And I quit it's about a year ago. It
Mhm.
was the beginning of August, and I was so scared. I was so scared, but I was so sick. I was so burned out. And my husband was trying to get me to quit for a long time. And I was always like, I don't know, there's a whole income missing, there's a whole income missing, there's a whole income missing. And again, I'm talking to myself like this in my head, and we go to church. And that day, there's always different teachings about the gospel every Sunday you go.
Mhm.
That day, the theme, the theme was there will always be enough. That sentence was spoken at least 6 times during our church service. There will always be enough. I will provide. I go before you. And
Yeah,
I'm sitting in church, I'm crying.
I get
I'm getting
right now.
choked up right now. I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there crying, and that was the day I needed to hear it from him,
Hmm.
right? That was the day where I said, I think it's going to be okay.
That is beautiful.
And
Yeah.
that's why it is so, so beautiful for me, to me, what you're doing. It's really special that you combine these two things, right? These, what people say is woo woo, but
Mhm.
also you're saying, hey, there's science
Yeah.
about this, right? And all these things that I did a Qigong, talking about Qigong episode, and we talked about how you have all these parallels between different cultures. They can't all be wrong, right? We're talking about Qi and Dharma and life force energy. And here we talk in Christianity, we talk about, being filled with the Holy Spirit, and human design talks about your blueprint kind of, and your energy. So it's just a beautiful thing to, if you just see it, that this is all woven together.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
that's definitely right. And yeah, like I said, I mean, it's important, to, like you said, like with the fears too, that's why I love talking about fears, because I think it's such an opportunity to actually go through that door to our opportunities. The more we learn about our fears, and yes, it's uncomfortable, and yes, it's a scary place. And I mean, who likes to talk about fears? If you meet somebody and you have coffee and you're like, hey, how about we talking about our fears today?
Right.
I mean, who does that? But it just, I think in every single fear we carry, or in every single challenge we are facing, where our fears will come up, it's always, we have to remind us, it's not a challenge, it's a gift that we will receive in that moment. It's like, it's so funny. I'm like, let's talk about this phase. And I'm listening to something right now, and Graham Cook, he teaches about that, very beautiful. And he's like, always like, you have a challenge in life? Say happy birthday to yourself, because your challenge is the biggest gift you can get, because you will grow. You will grow in your faith. You will grow out of this challenge, and you will be bigger than before. And always remember, and that's what you just said, right? God walked that already before you. He knows exactly what the outcome, the outcome will be always good.
Yeah.
Just believe in that, and yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. And it's a beautiful perspective too when you, like what you said, challenges are a gift. They might not feel that way in the moment, but, and I also believe that if you're not learning, they will come again.
they
It's like, yeah. It's just like in school. If you don't understand fractions, we're going to repeat that until you get it, you know?
that's right. And this is, for example, and that's it's funny that you say that. Let me find it here one more time, because this is actually one of your gates in the spleen, which is the gate 48 you have defined in the so if you're carrying more of the shadow energy, right, and not the higher expression of it, it's like kind of that hold on, is this right? I mean, I just want to make sure not that I have the wrong number. Yeah, my eyes getting so bad. I don't know. I have to do something with my eyes. So it's like this it's called the gate of death, but it's like kind of, if we take the shadow side, it's about feeling inadequate. So you don't know enough, you're getting scared, you don't know if you have all the necessary steps together to really dive into this, the fear of, oh my god, what will people think about it? Also, like, maybe I failed before in that, I want to try it again, but what happens if the past repeats itself? Now I fail again, and things like that. And then you get into this, oh, I need to learn more, I have to study more, I have to know more, and things like that. And I think the beautiful thing on this one, to turn it around, is to know that you carry everything you need to know already inside of you. It was already given to you through birth. Before you even came to this world, you had that knowledge in you, a fountain of knowledge. So there is nothing that can stop you. God has designed you with that. So you just need to trust and let it out, so to speak. Maybe in collaboration with God, ask Him, okay, God, who you want me to be right now? So what's your message you want to give the people through me? But you have it in you. And I think that's a lot of people struggle with inadequacy, right? So I mean, that's a big thing. Like, even when we talk about weight loss and stuff like that, no, that's a reaction a lot of people have. And knowing that, no, there's nothing like that. You are here right now exactly where you are meant to be. The way you are right now is perfect. It's exactly how you're meant to be, and you have everything inside of you. Nothing can actually stop you.
Yeah. And it's profound that you are out there and you're doing what you're doing as a transformational coach, because so many people underestimate that when it comes to weight loss or any health journey, that is a huge part of that, to yourself, the guilt, the shame that you're carrying with you because somebody else has said something in your life, all of that. You just pack that on, and you have to let that go, because those are also the pounds that you're holding on to.
Mhm.
You need to, I always tell my, when anybody ever asks me, because right now I don't do health coaching anymore, right? But whenever anyone asks me about what is the missing link, I always say, do you feel worthy enough to lose weight? And they always look at me like, what? And I'm like, yeah, just take that question with you to bed and ponder that a little bit, because that is what it comes down to all the time.
Yeah, that's definitely a powerful question, and yeah, I do see it, and I have my own stories about that too. So it's like I learned through that. My own transformation several years ago, and now also diving deeper in the faith. I'm like, yeah, now it makes sense why I also gained back weight. And so many people do that too. And now it makes sense, from what place are we coming? And are we really coming from our inside place? Or are we coming because we see something on the outer side, what we want to achieve, and this is basically what we're grabbing on instead of, yeah, ourself, God, who leads us, who guides us, and really relying that is nothing from the outside world, right? And like this, instead of like thinking, I have to lose this weight and then I'm finally be happy. No, be happy first and then everything
Mm,
else falls in place, and that's again something what with human design it's so beautiful because learning about your gates, learning about these emotions you are carrying. I mean, as I said earlier, right, when we dive into the solar plexus, we learn a lot about our emotion, what's holding us back, or what makes it sometimes a little bit challenging, and transferring it to the weight loss journey or a body transformation journey. I like to say, I really kind of always try to not use weight loss journey, but transformation.
mhm.
It's just a helpful tool because you really come back to your essence. And that's what it, and that was your question is basically, like come back to your essence.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like, stepping into your power. Wow. It's incredible. It is incredible. When you do a what do you call it, a reading?
Yeah,
Okay. So if someone books a reading with you, how long does that usually last?
usually in 60 to 90 minutes a reading,
Mhm.
or really to, like I said, it's a lot of information. I don't want to like run through it. We're taking a couple pauses. What I also have in these readings is like, I have like reflection questions in it, where you can just, I mean, you get your complete reading afterwards sent by me as a PDF. I always tell people, okay, listen, after today, put it away. Go back
Mhm.
next week, read it again through, go through the questions, see what aligns, because most of the time everyone is so overwhelmed and a lot of stuff makes maybe no sense at this in this moment. But if you revisit it, it's really a journey. You have to see, like when you go to a transformation journey, if you want to lose weight, stuff like that, see it as a journey, see it as an experiment, and take your time with it. It's nothing you will learn from today and then tomorrow you get it, so really take your time with it, revisit it next week, revisit it in a month, then some other things maybe click suddenly because you had some life events coming into you that suddenly makes sense what you were reading actually, and things like that. And so you get your whole PDF after the reading. We do the reading, it's about, as I said, 60 to 90 minutes. And yeah, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, awesome. And I'm pretty sure that when you have the PDF, every time you pick it up and you read it, you pick up something new.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it is. I mean, or how I hope that is going to be for you.
Hmm.
Because again, like things happen and then, oh, now I understand why is this like this, and oh yeah, that makes sense now. I mean, I have to work on this actually, and think, yeah. And then again, I mean, if you want to dive deeper, again, this is yeah just the basics, right? I mean, we have planets in human design. We have, oh my god, I'm missing the word right now, channels. So there's a whole lot more where you can dive in, right? There are other things like motivations, view things, perspectives. I mean, these are all like, it's all on your chart. You will see it when you print out your chart, but don't dive into this in the beginning. It really overwhelms you. And then, I mean, if you're really, really advanced later on, you can even make the connection to the gene keys because they are aligned with the gates. So there's another whole different part than what you can learn about yourself. Yeah, just, I mean, for me, for in my experience, like I said in the beginning, when I had my first reading, I learned about my type, I learned about my centers, what they basically, the characters, and I was just like, oh my god, that makes sense. That makes so much sense. And finally, somebody getting me. I
Hmm.
I I stopped questioning myself and I had something where I can just build on. I was like, when I got into situation, I was like, hold on, okay, this is what it is. So let's see how we can tackle this now in a new perspective. I mean, obviously you have to be open to do that, I mean, if you just be curious to hear it, that's fine. But the goal is, of course, being a little bit experimental and really work with it in the end. And if you want to bring more awareness to yourself. You want to be more conscious. You want to have just things a little bit easier. It's about like making your life easier, step easier into who you are, have fun in your life. And I think human design can really, really help you, at least give you the spark of it. And then what you're going to do in the end with it, it's up to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's a great tool, like you just said, taking action from a different perspective and respecting on how you need to take that action
Mhm.
to feel better about it and not like what we just said, do whatever society wants from you, but what's good for you.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of, and I'm really believe this a lot, like looking at this current world right now with all the craziness going on. I think we as humans, we really have to step up a little bit, and it's time for us to really step into, and again, here comes faith as well, into who God created you, and we cannot make war on negative things. We have to erase negativity. So we have to step into ourselves. We have to like get all these layers away from us that covers really our, and it's just, well, we are created, I believe we all are created in pure love, and we have to find this pure love inside of us again. And the more people, the more human beings will find this energy will carry out in this world. And I think that's a way to bring all of us more together again. And I think human design again can also help you with that. Your faith journey can help you with that, and bringing it all together. It's just something I think we really need right now.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I could not agree more. If we would spend more time with ourselves a little bit. That's just, I think that alone would fix some problems.
yeah.
This was so wonderful. This to me obviously was very eye-opening, and I'm sure that we have some listeners that got real curious and might be knocking on your door for a reading because again, this is something just like a natal chart or whatever. This is something you shouldn't just throw in the internet and then look at it because you need someone like you who essentially translates this
Mhm.
for you and opens the door, and because you're the key to understand what this actually all means. And this was again, this just little snippet was more profound than all the other stuff I've ever read about on the internet. So highly appreciate you coming on the show, Medina.
Thank you so, so much. And I'm so happy that, yeah, it helped you, it gave you value. And yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Y'all, I hope you had a good time listening to us and to Medina and speak about this. I will link her website and her Instagram page in the show notes so you can find her and find more about what this all is and her transformational coaching. And I hope you tune again in next time. And, thumbs up, share, comment, subscribe, do all the things on whatever platform you are. So see y'all next week.
Bye.
All right. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you enjoyed. You can give it a thumbs up, you can give it a review, you can share it with somebody you think might resonate with this. Have a great day. See you next time.